We're joined live via Zoom by Moty Cristal, a professional negotiator, as well as the CEO and founder of Nest Negotiation Strategies. Thank you, good afternoon, and thank you very much for joining us.
Thank you.
So obviously, as someone with a lot of experience negotiating, you're known, of course, for the agreement with Jordan in 1994. In your experience, how does this October 7th and the failed negotiations stack up to other times in Israel's history?
I think that we've never seen such a complex negotiations in the history of either political negotiations, which we negotiated with, I would say, rational players, entities, Egypt, Jordan, even not comparing to the PLO negotiation, the 90s. And also, it doesn't look like any of the hostages negotiations we negotiated in the past with Hezbollah and Hamas. The magnitude, the number, the context during war, the international pressure and the awareness of the public today, building on the very fundamental rift within the Israeli society, that makes the current negotiation extremely complex, extremely challenging.
Is this the most complicated negotiation that you've seen? Obviously, you know, your accomplishments in 1994. I remember I was here as a tourist when King Hussein flew his plane over Israel, a really big deal. Is this more complicated than ever and will only continue to get more complicated?
Yeah, nothing to compare. I think that the most fundamental difference is what is here at stake. It seems that we're negotiating the future of the remaining living hostages, but actually what we are negotiating is the social contract, or I would say the foundation of Israel as a society, because this contract has been constantly deteriorated since Israel actually gave up doing everything it could for the release of the two civilian hostages and Goldin and Shaul a decade ago, since 2014. Since then, the social contract that every Israeli mother knows that she sends her kids to the military, and Israel will do anything, everything, including the release of terrible, vicious prisoners in order to bring back the remains or the living civilians. This has been deteriorated, and now in multiple by 30, 40, 120 who are still in the hands of Hamas. So it's not that we are just merely negotiating ceasefire, which we had with Hezbollah or with Hamas, or we're only negotiating prisoners exchange or hostage exchange. We are now actually negotiating what deeply reflects on the values of this country, of this society.
And the value that Israel places on human life, of course. So what can Israel do next? I mean, what seems like everybody's doing everything they can, but Hamas keeps moving the goalpost.
That's true, and that's an accurate, actually, description, because without entering into party politics in Israel, I do believe that Netanyahu has some liability of not reaching an agreement, but I would say that most of the blame should be attributed to the behavior of Yahya Sinwar. Yahya Sinwar has cards, has bargain chips, and he will use the hostages in order to maximize his own benefits, to satisfy his own interest, his personal survival, his organizational survival, the future of who will rule Gaza. And if we understand Hamas ideology, who actually will rule Palestine, who will rule the Palestinian Authority. Israel definitely has the weaker hand in this negotiation, And the third thing in any complex negotiation is understanding the balance of power. Israel has the weaker hand, and unfortunately, because we so salute or admire or glorify the military might, we come to these negotiations believing that just we need to crush Hamas and then they will release the hostages. That will not happen. So Israel made a tragic mistake here for not understanding at the beginning of the negotiation that as long as it has to do with the hostage negotiation, we are the weak side. And then you have to use other strategies, which we not necessarily, or unfortunately, we haven't used throughout the 8 months of negotiations.
Wow. All right. Thank you very much, Moty Cristal. Much appreciated.